This is Ryan Gorcey, publisher of BearTerritory.net for Scout.com. I'm here with Mike Vernon of the San Francisco Chronicle, and this is the final fall camp edition of 3 and Out. We each have 3 thoughts to finish off fall camp, and my first is going to be health. Yes, Cal has lost 3 players to injury, but not 3 starters. So, okay, that's okay. That's good, right? No, they lost Nathan Broussard, obviously the starting Mike linebacker. They lost Quentin Tartle, freshman defensive back, probably going to redshirt, and they lost Jeffrey Koprick, running back, who was kind of 4th or 5th, depending on the day, on the depth chart there. So, the big thing, Mustafa Jalil, healthy. Brennan Scarlett, healthy. Hardy Nickerson, getting there. You have a lot of guys that were not healthy. Chris Adcock on the offensive line, he's healthy. You have a lot of guys who were not healthy last year. Avery Sebastian, Stephen McClure. Yep. They got through camp healthy. So that's my first point, is that everybody is okay. It's not a mass unit, knock on wood. No one goes down, but at least as of now, everyone's healthy.
Yeah, no, the team is remarkably healthy. What I want to talk about is a little bit piggybacking off of that. Nathan Broussard goes down with a torn ACL, and a big question for me is who's going to be the Mike linebacker? Who's going to be in there at middle linebacker? That's a position of leadership, and it sounds like it may be a position by committee. Michael Barton, Hardy Nickerson, those are 2 guys that are supposed to get some playing time there. And those are probably your 2 main guys. I think you want one to rise and to be the guy and not have limited time for both of them. So that's a pretty big question mark for me.
And not have it by committee.
Right,
I mean, the defensive line probably has to be. Fred Tate told me today, the defensive line, they'll probably play about 11 guys. So it needs to be by committee, especially as fast as the offense is going to run and as fast as all the offenses in the Pac-12.
I don't know if you want that for middle linebacker.
Exactly. My next thing is Jared Goff. Boy, if there's been one constant, and I mean constant, throughout fall camp, Jared Goff's accuracy, his level of understanding of the offense, his ability to manipulate a defense has really improved. You've seen a lot of shoulder motion, a lot of pump fake, a lot of moving their defense around with the eyes, looking off safeties, throwing guys open. A lot of as Trent Dilfer of the Elite 11 says, graduate level quarterbacking going on with Jared Goff, and that's the really impressive part that I've seen. And today, again, so much accuracy out of him. You're seeing 25, 35-yard passes that are either just these low line drives that just hump over the linebacker just enough to get there, and then they land perfectly in outstretched hands, hitting the back hip. Really, just he's making the offense sing, really, and that's been the most impressive part, at least for me. Out of all the 3 things that we're talking about, that's really the most impressive thing for me.
And I totally agree with that. If you're going to talk about Jared, I'm going to talk about the backup quarterback, Luke Rubinzer. This guy kind of came out of nowhere. He as to really cement himself as the backup. He's fast. I think he's faster than the coaches realized when they brought him in. He's a playmaker. There's a chance he could redshirt. I think he's going to be playing. It looks like he's going to be playing with the amount of reps he's getting out here. If he gets in the game, watch out, because he's going to run around and try to make a big play, and it's going to grab your attention. So he's pretty fun to watch.
And lastly, lastly for me at least, what Luke does is he drives defensive backs crazy because it's a scramble drill every time he's out there. But I will go with the defensive backs as my 3rd thing, because really Darius Allensworth told anybody who would listen, myself included, during fall recruiting camps where they were help coaching the DBs, dude, you got to watch us, man. We're going to be awesome. We're going to be really good. We're going to be the best out there. We're going to be the most improved. And I said, okay, Darius, sure, okay, all right, okay. And boy, howdy, has he proven it. Not only is Darius Allensworth your number 1 nickelback, he's also seeing time as the number 1 cornerback, rotating with Cameron Walker, rotating with Cedric Dozier in those 2 spots. 3 guys for 2 spots, not bad. Darius White, we saw today, was finally back in team drills and working out and was in one-on-ones looked good, looked healthy-ish. I think the shoulder is still a little tender based on some of the stretches he was doing, but I do think that he will be a part of the defensive backfield conversation moving forward. You have Stephen McClure, who's playing, again, graduate level safety. Michael Lowe, who's having his best camp of his long career here. And then when Avery Sebastian, the guy who had 11 tackles in a quarter and a half against Northwestern last year, is your number 2. As far as your safety is concerned, you have a really strong defensive backfield. I think that unit, more than anything else, is going to have the biggest improvement, the biggest jump from last year when when the Cal defense, it doesn't matter what unit you were a part of, was just, if it was a piece of tissue paper, it couldn't stop spit. So that's really impressed me throughout camp. Mike, what's your last thing?
And if what we saw in camp really holds up for these cornerbacks, I mean, what a difference it'll make. Another area that was a big struggle for Cal last year is offensive line. And it's just hard to tell how much better they'll be out here at practice. You've got Chris Adcock back, which is huge. Jordan Rigsby in at tackle. That's an important thing. The emergence of Dominic Granado as a backup has been big. But it's still just hard to tell if these guys are going to get pushed around or if they're going to be able to do some pushing in if Cal will be able to run because of that. So my big thing is this offense will need them to play well, and it's just hard to tell right now.
And the thing about the offensive line, you have to remember, I mentioned it in the story earlier in camp, Cal played 12 men on the offensive line last year. 12. You know how many Stanford played? 6. That's a big deal. You need to have consistency up front. And if Cal can find that consistency, even if they can find 10 guys they're comfortable with, 10's better than 12. You want to have, hopefully, the same group of guys play. And we've seen, for the most part, the same ones and the same 2s really over the past week. And before that, maybe only 1 or 2 different. You have a tackle or a guard maybe move in and out, depending. But what we've really seen is consistency. And that's the important part. And that's really going to be the important part for the California Golden Bears coming into the 2014 season. So, for Mike Vernon, this is Ryan Gorcey at California Memorial Stadium for BearTerritory.net, Scout.com, and the San Francisco Chronicle. Thanks for playing along. This has been 3 and Out. We'll catch you on the flip side.
The season is coming.